The click of the lock echoed louder than it should have. It wasn't just a door closing, it felt like the final chapter of everything I had left. My divorce had been finalized that morning, stamped with cold ink and colder indifference, and by afternoon, my boss had called me into her office and locked the door behind me. In that moment, my chest tightened. I thought I was about to lose my job, too. Before we go deeper into this story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet ways people save each other without even realizing it, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. I stood there, numb, staring at the glass door as if it might magically open again and undo everything. My reflection looked unfamiliar. Tired eyes, slouched shoulders, a man who had clearly lost more than just a marriage. The office behind me was sleek and polished, the exact opposite of how I felt inside. Her desk was immaculate, sunlight spilling across it in perfect lines, while my life outside that room felt like it had been scattered by a storm. It had been a long time coming, the divorce. Years of quiet arguments, of drifting apart in ways too subtle to notice at first but too deep to fix in the end. We didn't end with a dramatic fight. No screaming, no shattered glass, just silence. The kind that slowly suffocates everything good until nothing is left. And now it was over. Official. Final. Irreversible. I hadn't cried when the papers were signed. I hadn't even flinched when she walked away without looking back. But standing there in that office, with the door locked and my boss watching me with an intensity I couldn't understand, something inside me started to crack. She wasn't just any boss. She was known for being composed, distant, almost intimidatingly perfect. She didn't waste words, didn't get involved in personal matters, and certainly didn't lock her door during work hours. That's why it terrified me. My mind raced through every possible mistake I could have made at work. Missed deadlines, overlooked details, moments where I might have seemed distracted, which, to be fair, I had been. The past few months had drained me in ways I couldn't explain. Maybe this was it. Maybe today wasn't just the end of my marriage. It was the collapse of everything else, too. She walked past me slowly, her heels clicking against the floor with deliberate calm. The sound felt too sharp in the quiet room. She didn't sit immediately. Instead, she stood near the window, looking out at the city as if searching for the right words. That silence stretched longer than I could handle. I felt small, exposed. And then she turned. Her expression wasn't what I expected. There was no anger, no disappointment, no cold professionalism. There was something else, something softer, heavier, human. She stepped closer, and for a brief second, I thought I saw something in her eyes that didn't belong in a corporate office. Something like pain. And that's when everything changed. She began to speak, not with authority, but with a quiet steadiness that made every word feel intentional. She told me she knew about the divorce. Not from gossip, not from rumors, but because she had noticed the small things, the way I lingered at my desk long after everyone left, the way I stared at my screen without really seeing it, the way my usual confidence had slowly faded. I hadn't realized anyone was paying attention. Especially not her. She told me she had been where I was. Years ago, long before I joined the company, she had stood in a similar place, heartbroken, lost, convinced that her life had ended even though it technically hadn't. That was the first crack in my armor. Because until that moment, I had believed I was alone in this kind of pain. But she wasn't finished. She walked to her desk and picked up a file. For a second, I braced myself again, thinking this was the part where everything would turn professional, where emotions would be set aside and consequences would take their place. Instead, she held the file loosely, almost as if it didn't matter. What she said next broke me. She told me that sometimes life takes everything from you, not to punish you, but to make room for something you never thought you deserved. And for some reason, those words hit harder than anything else that day, because I didn't feel like I deserved anything good anymore. Not after the failure of my marriage, not after the years of trying and failing to hold something together that was clearly falling apart. I felt like I had wasted time, energy, love, everything. But she looked at me like I hadn't. She looked at me like I was still worth something. And that's when the tears came. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, uncontrollable tears that I couldn't stop no matter how hard I tried. I turned away, embarrassed, ashamed of breaking down in front of someone who had always seemed so untouchable. But she didn't react the way I expected. She didn't look uncomfortable. She didn't try to shut it down. She simply let me feel it. And in that moment, I realized how long it had been since anyone had given me that space. She told me that strength wasn't about pretending everything was fine. It wasn't about moving on quickly or acting like nothing had happened. Real strength, she said, was allowing yourself to fall apart and then choosing to rebuild piece by piece. That conversation didn't fix everything. It didn't magically erase the pain or make my life whole again. But it shifted something inside me. For the first time that day, I didn't feel completely empty. Weeks passed after that. Life didn't suddenly become easy. I still went home to an apartment that felt too quiet. I still woke up some mornings with a heaviness in my chest that made it hard to breathe. I still replayed memories I wished I could forget, but something was different. I started noticing small things again, the warmth of sunlight through my window, the quiet comfort of a cup of coffee in the morning, the way the city looked just before sunset when everything turned golden for a few fleeting minutes. And at work, I began to find my footing again. Not all at once, not perfectly, but gradually. She never brought up that conversation again. She never treated me differently in front of others. But there was a subtle shift in the way she interacted with me, a quiet understanding and unspoken support that didn't need to be explained. It wasn't loud, it wasn't obvious, but it was there. And it mattered more than anything else. Months later, I realized something I hadn't expected. The day my boss locked her office door wasn't the day everything ended. It was the day something began. A slow, painful, but ultimately necessary transformation. I wasn't the same person anymore, and maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Because the man I had been was holding on to a life that was already gone. But the man I was becoming was learning how to build something new, something real, something stronger. And maybe, just maybe, something better. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't just scroll away. Like the video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe for more stories that remind us we're not alone in what we feel. And before we reach the end, I have a special request for you. Comment one word that describes how this story made you feel. Just one word. Because sometimes a single word carries more truth than 1,000 sentences. In the end, I never forgot what she said to me that day. Not because it was dramatic, not because it was extraordinary, but because it was exactly what I needed to hear at the exact moment I was breaking. And sometimes that's all it takes. One person, one moment, one sentence. To remind you that even after everything falls apart, you're still here. And that means your story isn't over yet. The first time I laughed again, it startled me. It wasn't loud or even particularly joyful. It slipped out quietly during a late afternoon at work when someone made an offhand joke in a meeting. For a split second, I forgot everything. Forgot the silence waiting at home. Forgot the weight I had been carrying for months. Forgot the version of myself I had buried. And when the moment passed, I didn't feel guilty. That's when I knew something inside me had truly begun to heal. But healing isn't a straight line. It doesn't arrive all at once like a sunrise. It comes in fragments, tiny, almost invisible shifts that slowly change the way you see the world. And for me, those shifts started to gather piece by piece after that day in her office. I began staying a little less late at work. At first, it felt wrong, like I was abandoning something important. For months, I had used work as a shield, a place where I didn't have to think or feel too much. The longer I stayed, the easier it was to avoid going home. But one evening, as I sat staring at my screen long after everyone had left, her words echoed in my mind about rebuilding. About choosing to move forward even when it felt impossible. So I shut down my computer. That small act felt heavier than signing any document that morning at the courthouse. When I stepped outside, the air felt different. The city wasn't just noise anymore. It was alive. Cars moved in steady rhythms, people laughed as they passed by, and somewhere in the distance, music played faintly through an open window. Life hadn't stopped. Only I had. And slowly, I began to step back into it. I started taking walks after work. No destination, no purpose, just walking. Adding. At first, my thoughts followed me everywhere, loud and relentless. Memories surfaced without warning. Conversations replayed. Regrets whispered in the background like a constant hum. But over time, those thoughts softened. They didn't disappear, but they lost their grip. And in the quiet spaces between them, I began to notice things again. The way a stranger smiled at me for no reason, the rhythm of my own footsteps, the feeling of being present. It wasn't happiness, not yet, but it was something close to peace. At work, I found myself changing too. I started engaging more, contributing ideas, speaking up in meetings, not because I had suddenly become confident again, but because I no longer felt like I had nothing left to lose. The worst had already happened. Everything after that felt survivable. And she noticed. Of course she did. She always seemed to notice the things others didn't. One afternoon, after a particularly productive meeting, she paused as everyone else left the room. For a brief moment, our eyes met, and there was that same quiet understanding I had seen the day she locked the door. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Sometimes the absence of words carries more meaning than anything spoken aloud. As weeks turned into months, my life slowly reshaped itself. The apartment that once felt empty began to feel like mine. I rearranged furniture, changed small details, brought in things that reflected who I was, not who I had been in a relationship that no longer existed. I started cooking again, even though it was just for myself. I picked up an old hobby I had abandoned years ago. And for the first time in a long time, I began to think about the future, not with fear, but with cautious curiosity. But just when I thought I had found my balance, life tested me again. It happened on an ordinary day. I was going through old files at home, sorting through things I had avoided for months when I came across a box I hadn't opened since the divorce. Inside were photographs, letters, fragments of a life that once felt permanent. For a moment, I just stared at it. I had a choice: close it or face it. My hands trembled as I picked up the first photograph, and just like that, everything came rushing back. The memories weren't bad. That was the hardest part. They were filled with laughter, with warmth, with moments that had once meant everything. It reminded me that what I had lost wasn't just a relationship. It was a version of my life that had felt real. And for the first time since that day in the office, I broke again. But this time it was different. There was no panic, no overwhelming sense of emptiness, just sadness. Pure, honest sadness, and I let myself feel it. I sat there for what felt like hours, going through each piece, each memory, allowing it to exist without trying to push it away. It hurt, but it didn't destroy me, because I finally understood something I hadn't before. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means accepting. Accepting that something was real, and that it's okay that it's over. The next morning, I walked into work with a quiet clarity I hadn't felt before. I wasn't carrying the past anymore. Not in the same way. In the same way. And somehow she seemed to sense it again. Later that day, she called me into her office. This time, the door remained unlocked. That small detail didn't go unnoticed. I stepped inside, feeling a strange mix of calm and anticipation. She gestured for me to sit, her expression thoughtful but steady. There was a pause. And then she said something I didn't expect. She told me she had been watching my progress. Not in a formal managerial way, but in a human way. She had seen the way I had pulled myself back together, the way I had faced something painful, and chosen to grow from it instead of hiding. And she said she was proud of me. Those words hit me harder than anything else, because for so long I had felt like a failure. And hearing someone say they were proud of me, it changed something deep inside. She then offered me an opportunity, a new role, more responsibility, a chance to step into something bigger than I had ever imagined for myself. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was I ready? Could I really do this? But then I remembered everything I had already survived. And suddenly the fear didn't feel as strong. I accepted, not because I was certain, but because I was willing to try. That was the moment I realized how far I had come. Not in terms of success or achievement, but in the way I saw myself. I wasn't broken anymore. I was rebuilding, and rebuilding takes courage. If you've made it this far into the story, take a moment to engage with the video, like it, share it, or leave a comment. You never know who might need to hear this today, because stories like this aren't just about one person. They're about all of us. About the moments that break us and the moments that quietly put us back together. And before this story comes to an end, I want to ask you something simple. If you've ever had a moment where someone's words changed your life or where you found strength you didn't know you had, share it in the comments. Your story might be the one someone else needs to read. In the end, I never asked her why she locked the door that day. Maybe it was to give me a space where I could fall apart without the world watching. Maybe it was to remind me that even in the most professional environments, humanity still exists. Or maybe it was simply because she knew. She knew that sometimes people don't need solutions. They don't need advice, they just need someone to see them, to truly see them. And that's what she did for me. She saw me at my lowest and reminded me I was still worth something, not because of my job, not because of my past, but because I was still here, still standing, still capable of beginning again. And that changed everything. Because sometimes the most powerful thing anyone can say to you isn't something grand or life-altering. Sometimes it's something simple, something quiet, something that reaches you in a moment when you feel invisible. A reminder that you matter, and that no matter how much you've lost, you haven't lost yourself. Not completely, not forever. Because as long as you're still here, there's always something left to rebuild. And maybe, just maybe, that new version of your life will be stronger, deeper, and more meaningful than anything you've ever known before.